I smell soup on you. Welcome everybody to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, your storyteller for today, and with me I have some more RPG horror stories. Alright, I don't know what it is, but I've been hella hungry, so I need some recommendations for good cook-based and cooking-based homebrew subclasses to play. Maybe I don't know, some sort of a cooking show minigame or something. I don't know. Anyway, if you got any sort of recommendations for any cooking-based or food-based subclasses out there, please recommend them down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's get some RPG horror stories for today. Started off strong. Gonna resurrect this after today. Gonna put my name out there for a future Crooked Moon game if someone starts one and has an opening. Name blank. Joe Swanson. Him, he, the occasional they. Time zone EST. Thursday and Sunday nights are easiest. My stipulations: no SA. Minimal crass humor out of character. No IRL prejudices in and out of game. No eyeball harm. Minimal restrictions on character creation. Drusk Veiled is a place where you can become anything. I'll stick to what I have on D&D Beyond. Allow for possibility of saving important NPCs and antagonists the party likes. Yes, even chuckles. From death and or doom while still having the main plot proceed. No min-maxing. No meme builds. No character creation and or progress-based showboating. No conjuring, summoning, and or transforming into named singular NPCs, creatures from items, and or gods. No power gaming, no metagaming, no excessive rules lawyering, reliance on raw compliant moves to do ridiculous things. No point buy, no rolling for stats. Oh my god, this is a nightmare checklist, dude. You know what might be easiest? To say about the things you want instead of the things you don't want. I want nothing except this, and that, and just call it a day at that point. I understand setting up boundaries and stuff is rather important and stuff, but I feel like you do it at session 0. You don't do this when you're trying to advertise that you're looking for a group. You don't go to like a looking for a group thing and you advertise, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want this. This is not a shopping. It's not like a shopping superstore or something, right? You should probably do it with the DM, and you should probably do it during session 0 and find games that specifically fit your way. This feels like somebody just shopping around for specific prerequisites and stuff, and they're putting on extra filters, but like, how are you gonna find? People are gonna look through that? They're gonna be like, okay, well, this is a lot of filters. It just seems a lot of work. I'm telling you right now, like, it's cool to have standards. It's fine to have standards. It's fine to have your own filters, and some things are just not okay for you. But people are gonna look at this post and be like, this is a lot. I'm probably gonna skip and just check the other player. Just gonna find another player out there. While some of these stipulations are not unreasonable, I feel like this is something that should be discussed at session 0, not in a Discord post where you just have all this stuff put down. Also, some of this stuff is really weird, like no conjuring, like in general, like against summon beast, or is it just specifically of the transform into named singular NPCs, creatures from items, other gods, or power gaming, or whatever? Like, is that what describes? It's so vague written. It's so vaguely written that I just don't understand the full context for it. I feel like I need a map or something just to figure out what the main context for all this. Some of it is reasonable, sure, like no power gaming and stuff, that's cool and all, but I mean, at the end of the day, you can't control what every single player is doing. In my campaign, I have sometimes players that like to make like a real proper good build, like a really well thought out build, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then I have players that want to make some meme builds, just little silly builds, make us little goofy guys and stuff. There's nothing wrong with it, because at the end of the day, I know my players aren't going to be making like something that would they need to min-max in order to survive the game, but there's nothing wrong with them making a good progression build. Or talk about showboating about the build and stuff. What, players can't show off the builds that they're working on? Get out of here. This is a weird checklist. This is just a lot. This is a lot. People are gonna look through this and be like, yeah, I'm not reading this. Next player, please. Prefer platform: Beyond plus Roll20 or Foundry via Beyond 20. Need help forcing the latest update because I'm not the most tech literate about zip files, so I don't have to deal with Roll20 and Foundry's excessively tiring character creation methods. I have everything on Beyond anyway. Edit. Why the question marks? Because this is a tall order. This is like a shopping list of shopping lists and stuff. You put in so much. Here's the thing. I feel like what this should be put down is if the DM is putting this stuff down, not if a player is doing this, because it just seems excessive. Like, you can learn about this stuff from the advertisement of the DMs and players out there running games about what specific things they have, and maybe during session 0s and stuff. Like, if you're DM advertising this specific thing, that could be reasonable, because you're trying to make sure that people joining in are going to be people that aren't going to be metagaming. People aren't going to be making meme builds. People aren't going to be making min-maxing builds. But you can show the progression and showboat, quote unquote, the build that you're making for your character, because why? It feels like a personal grievance rather than an actual problem at a table, you know? That's kind of what it feels like. If you feel like a kind of person that's not gonna be fun at the table. Oh, that's all I'm saying. Like, no crass humor in and out of game. What? Crass humor is not okay? You're gonna police my speech now? No thank you. I don't want to play with you. No thank you. I'll just play with my gaggle of friends. That's what I'll do. I'll be crass with my friends. You go play whatever game you want to play. Let's move on to the next story for today. It wasn't me. It's not a true terrible story, but for me, 21 female in a story 19, as a DM, it was quite challenging. So I was just starting out and it was my second one shot, so of course I invited all my friends. I had a lot of friends, I had to run it 3 times, but it turned out that 2 people could only play on the same day. Let's call them Druid 20 male and Ranger 20 female. The problem was that a couple of years ago they had a huge fight. Ranger was too outspoken and Druid was very sensitive, and although they later made friends again, they weren't best friends. There was still some tension between them. For example, Ranger didn't invite Druid to her birthday parties. Oh, I hope this is not gonna be one of those RPG horror stories like, oh no, you didn't invite me to a birthday party, so I'm gonna make it terrible for you in game. People don't invite me to birthday parties. So, do you think I care about birthday parties being invited? Like, maybe if you're like 15 or something, sure. Or like if you have like a really close circle of friends and everything. Like, okay, I get, let's say for example, if there's a birthday event happening with one of my good friends, like Mary or Micah, and I'm not invited, yeah, I'll probably feel kind of bad. But people that you're not even best friends with or really close with not inviting you to the birthday party, what? Feels like a thing that 20-year-old adults should not be getting worried about or too worked out about, you know? Maybe just me, man. Maybe I just was never invited to birthday parties and I just don't see the hype. I don't know. Ranger also invites her partner to this one shot, so I was thinking of playing separately with Druid. However, Druid really wanted to play with this particular day and assured me he would be okay. Ranger said she would be fine too. I didn't care at all. I decided that if disaster struck, he would have only himself to blame because of his stubbornness. Well, disaster had arrived. Druid suddenly totally stopped roleplaying. He said nothing, although he spoke about the character with such enthusiasm. In battle, he didn't attack, only hiding or standing still if no one spoke to him. The other 2 players played as hard as they could, but frankly, they were starting to tire. We'll try to include him in the game. I create as many opportunities as possible for the Druid to shine, and the other player tried to talk to him, but he remains silent. Okay, so your Druid basically decided, I'm gonna join the game, but now I'm gonna be passive aggressive like mamby-pamby and just say nothing. My character does nothing. I'm just hiding and we're just there passively aggressively existing without actually contributing. That's the kind of player you say, hey man, if you're not gonna contribute, there's the door. You can leave. It's okay. You don't have to, if you don't want to play, you don't have to play, but like, I'm not gonna have you here just doing nothing whatsoever, just taking up a turn. Because what's the point of doing it? If you're not gonna engage in actual thing, leave, bounce out, say, listen, sorry, it's not for me, I'm a bounce. And go do something else, you know? The climax came when the player met a character whose fields were being destroyed by a magical creature. They had a long, cheerful conversation with this guy, a ridiculous self-confident inventor, and the Druid remained silent. When the peasant retreated into the house, the Druid silently brought one of the ears of wheat to life. Finally, I thought, finally the Druid had started playing. The peasant returned naturally surprised, and asked how it happened and who did it. Ranger pointed at the Druid. It wasn't me, the Druid said. Honestly, I just gave up. There was nothing else we could do, and I continued to play this one shot, essentially with 2 players. I honestly, I don't know. Honestly, you know what? I'm gonna leave it to the comment section. What do you think happened in this one? I'm looking at the comments of this post as well, and there's no context. Even the DM never got a full explanation from the player other than they were played poorly, and that's it. The player literally stated, oh, I was just playing poorly. I was just playing bad that day. That's not an explanation. I feel like what happened is maybe Druid was bitter over at Ranger. Ranger came in, wanted to just play a regular game, like, yeah, I'm cool with Druid playing. That's completely fine. But the Druid came in there hoping for the character to get some sort of interaction, hoping for the character to be approached and stuff. The character never was approached because I was thinking like, oh, everybody gotta approach me here. Maybe they're just trying to be passive aggressive and just be like, I'm gonna be non-interactive for today. And everybody sort of ignored him, but let him tag along. So his character basically did nothing. Hid, did absolutely nothing. Didn't talk to anybody, didn't say anything. So he was just kind of there, waiting for interaction to maybe also show how passive aggressive he wants to be. I think the guy was too focused on being passive aggressive that he didn't realize what he was even doing, and by the time the game even ended, he's like, I don't know what I even did. I have no idea. I was too focused on being passive aggressive, and I wasn't passive aggressive enough, so I don't know what's going on. It's like weird limbo, basically. You want to be passive aggressive, you want to show some sort of scorn to the ranger, I guess, or DM or whoever. I don't know why he's doing it, but he's so committed to the bit, he forgot what the bit even was. So when he did do something as his character replied, it wasn't me. But why? What is the point for it? It feels like you just want to be like a passive aggressive mamby-pamby for the sake of being a passive aggressive mamby-pamby. You want to exist in this space, but you will not interact with this space because of some sort of a protest or some such. Honestly, I don't know. I'm gonna leave it to the comment section to decide what exactly happened. I'm gonna move on to the next story for today. AITA for using the same character in another campaign after hours stalled for 6 months. I was in a D&D campaign for about a year. We finished a module, and DM1 said the plan to continue with the second module using the same character. Then, nothing happened. About 6 months passed with no session or real updates. I really missed playing my character. For context, my character started as a sleazy conman, but during campaign 1 he went through a redemption arc because that fit the party dynamic. I liked him a lot and wanted to explore a different side of him someday. During the hiatus, another DM, DM2, invited me to a completely separate campaign with an entirely different group. The setting actually fit my character perfectly, but I didn't want to step on anyone's toes. So before joining, I talked with the DM2 and explained the situation. We agreed I'd adjust the backstory for any plot hooks or future plans DM1 might have wouldn't overlap. Same character concept, different timeline and events. About a month passed, we played 2 sessions with the DM2, when I suddenly received a message from DM1 saying they were canceling campaign because I had put my character into another game and I tried to hide it from them. First of all, they didn't try to hide it from you. They were trying to see if they can actually run the actual game itself, but since you were no-show and didn't say anything at all, the player just decided, you know what, okay fine, I'll just take my character and I'll make like a copy of it and play it in a different game. But apparently DM1 finds that an offense. And I suppose before I continue my take, my question to you, the viewer, what are your thoughts on taking a character that exists in campaign A and taking the copy, the concept, the name, the general backstory, the general vibe of this character and copying over to campaign B or campaign C or carrying out to other campaigns in general? What are your thoughts on taking a character's idea, taking the character concept as a whole, as its own little, like, you know, its own little, I guess, bundle, taking that, copying over to a different campaign? What are your thoughts on it? My thoughts on it as such, I am okay with it. I'm okay with my players doing that as well. If somebody makes a cool character for my campaign or for my games that I'm running and they want to take that character and put it to a different campaign, I am perfectly cool with it. In fact, I fully encourage it, especially if somebody finds their character so fun to play as, they just want to continue playing their character, but in a different story, like a different universe, different timeline, maybe like some sort of a pseudo isekai without the whole memory thing. During the very first game that I played in, that turned to my own very RPG horror story of my own, I ended up taking Morrow and carrying him over to the game that I'm playing in now with my friends. I just took the carbon copy of what Morrow is, changed his subclass, but kept him as tiefling, as a gambler, as a urchin, as basically an orphan, and just dropped him into this new world of Aldrosia and just have him exist there. Canonically, he's from the original world, but due to a shipwreck, he just ended up on this other place. He doesn't know where he is. It's a brand new world, but now he's finally free from any gambling debts he had and any sort of issues that he had, particularly involved with a succubus that was trying to control him. As he lost his warlock patron, he also lost his classes in warlock and basically was, well, honestly running around with daggers and stuff, trying to stab and stuff before he found a blade that connected him to his hexblade warlock patron. In a sense, allowed me to keep Morrow as he is, but change his subclass. The same thing was offered as well for Micah and Mary whenever we took our characters from the other RPG horror story campaign and took it to our own campaign, and then decided to just stick with the characters as they are, which is perfectly cool. I personally don't think there's a problem. If you make the character, if you make your own character, they don't become the property of the campaign or the DM. They're your character and you can do whatever you want with them as you see fit. If a player decided to take one of their characters they made for one of my games and take them over to a different game, go for it. I fully support it. If you enjoy playing this character, have fun playing with this character. Play a different revision of it. Play a different experience of it. For a DM to sit there and claim that the character that you made is part of their campaign and therefore their character character that they own and have some sort of ownership and copyright on them, God forbid, is really cringe. It's really weird and it's very possessive. And if a DM is this possessive over your character, I feel like there's more problem going on with the DM than it is with you or your character. They also said they felt like they had made my character. We wrote backstories together, but the character itself was entirely mine, admittedly a self-insert since it was my first PC. They bought content from D&D Beyond for me to use, which I had previously told them wasn't necessary. Then they had long-term plans for my character that I had now ruined. If you want the character to be part of these long-term plans, how about you start running them plans? How about you interact with the player and say, yes, I have a plan. I'm currently building the next part of the campaign. You're just gonna have to wait for it and stuff and go from there. Because if you leave your player without any information about when the campaign is gonna continue, of course they're gonna want to play a different game. But also, like I said, it's very possessive of this DM to claim that it's their character too. It's not their character DM. It's not your character DM. It's the player's character. Just because you're involved in the storytelling for them doesn't make the character your character. I am heavily involved in writing a bunch of stuff for Mary's character. Does that mean that Mary is my character? No, of course not. And if I start a different game and Mary decides to carry over Mary as well, I'll just make another story for Mary. Even if I wasn't writing something for Mary and stuff, I'd still write for whoever. But just because I give my players some sort of a story for their character to engage in, that does not give me ownership, rights, or anything of their character. I'm just the DM and I'm making fun stories together. We're making fun stories together. And this DM is forgetting the most important part. The only thing they need to worry about is making fun stories together in session with their players. But if you're not playing the game, how can you make stories together? Instead of worrying about why a player is playing their character in a different campaign or a copy of the character in a different campaign, you should focus more about actually running your games instead. Because the only reason this player is going over to play a different game is because you're not playing your campaign. Start running your games if that's the case, if you want the player to engage in the story that you guys are creating together. The hiding in accusation came from this. We play in Discord and change our server nicknames to character names during sessions. Between games, I switch my nickname back to my normal name. DM1 interpreted that as me trying to conceal the character from them. God forbid you decide to change the name on Discord. Oh my god, imagine if I go on Discord instead of my usual Discord name Morrow, or Meow Meow the Tiefling, or whatever, or Soupman, or Soupmaster. You change your Discord name? You must be cheating on my game with another game. Like seriously, this is like a weirdest like D&D breakup ever. DM2 even offered to help me make a new character if things felt awkward. But I chose to continue playing the original one because I wanted to actually see them played long term. I explained to DM that I'd intentionally altered the backstory to avoid conflicts, and that I still valued both versions of the character. We more or less smoothed things over, but the situation still felt off to me. After this conversation, I learned that DM1 had already applied for a new job before messaging me, one that would leave them without the time to continue running campaign 1 anyway. So you applied for a job that you're not gonna be able to even run the campaign 1 for, but you're still getting mad at the player for why? Just to throw a tantrum, I guess. From my perspective, I was called deceitful, made to feel guilty for ruining plotlines, blamed for the campaign ending, and made to feel like my character belonged to the DM instead of me. So now I'm wondering if I actually crossed the line here. AITA for using my character in another campaign after ours had been inactive for 6 months. My answer, no. You're not the a-hole in the slightest. The DM is the a-hole because they are not gonna be able to run the campaign and they're blaming everything on you. Campaign ending, blame on you. Ruining plotlines, blame on you. Because it's so much easier to blame it on the player that's not even part of this because they're not running a game for 6 months. Instead of getting mad at themselves, if they have anybody to blame at all, for not running the game for 6 months, I get IRL can happen. But if the game is just not happening, game is not happening. It's so weird to have such a possessive control over your player's character that you yourself DM didn't even make. It'd be one thing if, let's say for example, you made a character and somebody else took your character and started playing in a different game. Would be weird, but okay. But this is literally just a player that made their own player character and they're just taking it, playing in a different game. There's nothing wrong with it. It's your creation. Do whatever you want with it. In fact, if you join any of my games and you decide you want to take that character concept and play in a different game, by all means, go right ahead. I see no problem with this whatsoever. And the fact that this DM is being so possessive over it probably shows more insecurities about them than anything else. It's not your character, leave him alone. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.